Bayron Rivera.
Here it is.
Mr. Rivera, you've been charged with 2 aggravated assaults and then 2 aggravated assaults with a deadly weapon and 2 aggravated assaults with serious bodily injury.
Judge, on July the 4th, 2019 is when this offense is alleged to have occurred. On that date, an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon occurred at the location of the offense, Your Honor, is the Quick Mart located at 1811 West Mount Houston, location in Harris County, Texas. The victim in this case stated that he was exiting the Fiesta parking lot located in Harris County, a location in Harris County, after purchasing fireworks. When he entered onto Veterans Memorial Drive, he pulled out in front of the defendant. The victim entered the right turn lane, and the defendant pulled up next to him. Both parties exchanged words, but when the light turned green, the victim turned right onto West Mount Houston. The defendant turned right to follow the victim from the center lane. When they reached the next stoplight, the victim continued straight, and the defendant turned into the Ella Quick Mart. The victim saw the defendant exit the parking lot, heading back towards Veterans Memorial, so he turned around to go to the Walgreens to buy diapers. The victim was in the Walgreens approximately 10 minutes when he noticed the defendant in the parking lot. The defendant exits Walgreens on the Veterans Memorial heading south, then makes a U-turn to head back north towards West Mount Houston. Once at the light at West Mount Houston, the victim turns left and notices the defendant following him. The victim pulls into the Ella Quick Mart, and the defendant follows. Both parties get out of their vehicle and exchange words. The victim sees the defendant grab a gun, so he enters his vehicle and begins to leave the parking lot back onto West Mount Houston. The defendant then fires several rounds, striking the victim's vehicle, causing the fireworks inside the vehicle to ignite. The victim's vehicle became engulfed in flames, causing the victim, his wife, and 2 children, ages 1 and 2, to be burned. The officers gave the magistrate's warning to the defendant. The defendant at that point advised he understood his warnings and he agreed to provide a statement. The defendant stated that the victim cut him off and then talked trash to him at the stoplight. The defendant stated the victim turned right onto West Mount Houston, so he followed him, turning right onto the center lane. The defendant stated at the stoplight at Ella, the victim continued straight while he turned onto the Ella Quick Mart. The defendant said he noticed the victim turn into the Walgreens, so he went behind the Walgreens and circled back to the front where the victim was located. The defendant stated he followed the victim out of the parking lot, made a U-turn, and continued to follow him to the Ella Quick Mart. The defendant stated he exchanged words, then he claims the victim reached for something inside his vehicle. The defendant said that is when he grabbed his gun. The defendant said he fired at the victim because he thought the victim was going to do something to him. The defendant went on to say that during the entire incident, his girlfriend was in the vehicle with him. The defendant claims he had his weapon in his vehicle the entire day. The defendant said he was angry at the victim because he called him and I'm quoting now, Judge, unquote, and the defendant said he wanted to fight him. The defendant was asked why he continued to follow the victim, even though he had several opportunities to remove himself and his girlfriend from the situation. The defendant stated that he was just mad and felt like the victim put him on the defensive by calling him the expletive previously stated. The defendant's girlfriend also came to the station and gave a voluntary statement. The girlfriend's father was in the room when she gave her statement because she's 16 years of age. At the beginning, she told the exact same story as the defendant, but after a while, she changed her story. She claims the victim did pull out in front of them and words were exchanged at the stoplight. She said they turned to follow the victim, but turned to the L Quick Mart when the victim continued straight. She stated that she saw the victim turn around and pull into Walgreens. She then stated that they went to the defendant's house and were there for a couple of minutes before the defendant told her they were leaving. She claims she did not know why he wanted to leave. They went back to the Walgreens and saw the victim in the parking lot. They followed him till the victim turned into the Quick Mart. She claims the victim and the defendant exchanged words, and the victim reached for something inside his vehicle. She said at this time the defendant pulled a gun from his back seat, which she claims she did not know was there. The victim got into his vehicle and was leaving when it looked as if he was going to do something, and that is when the defendant fired his gun at the victim. She stated at no time did she attempt to stop the defendant or ask to get out of the vehicle. In this particular case, Your Honor, I'm aware that the victims where it's alleged serious bodily injury, they've suffered burns and are being treated at the hospital for those serious burns.
The three kids? Okay.
There's two children and 2 adults.
Right. You charged him with aggravated assault for the 2 adults, and then I guess SBI there's 2 SBIs and 2 deadly weapons.
Yes, ma'am. The SBIs are for the children, Your Honor, who were seriously injured and have burns on their bodies.
Okay. Probable cause for your arrest. You're going to the 337th District Court. Judge Herb Ritchie. Are you requesting the court to appoint you a lawyer, or are you going to hire your own lawyer? Are you a U.S. citizen? You want Ms. Robles to help you in a bail hearing. What says the state?
Judge, I would request a $50,000 bond on each case, and I think that the defendant is a threat to the community, Your Honor. With such looks like he actually went home, came back out, looked for this victim, then is firing a gun into the vehicle and causing injury to these 2 very young children. So I would request $50,000 bonds in each case.
Ms. Robles.
Judge, we're requesting a $10,000 personal bond on each case. Mr. Rivera turned himself in on these cases, indicated that he will appear in court. He's 18. He's lived in Houston his entire life. He resides with his parents and his brother. He works with his father doing deck and canopy construction. He's been doing that for 2 years. Prior to that, he worked at a pool company doing pool cleaning for a year. He does have transportation to get to court. He could get a ride from his family. He's also planning to go back to high school this summer, this upcoming semester, Judge. And this is his first arrest. He has no prior. He presents below average on the risk assessment at a 2-1.
Bonds are set at $30,000 in each of these cases. Going to court is not the only element that I consider when setting bonds. You have 2 seriously injured children. No matter if this was not what I consider anyway, it just was. The facts are of such a degree that I hope the children get better, but your judgment was bad, which makes me believe that the safety of the community is paramount in this type of situation. Thank you. You may be seated.